Ted, how are you doing? And for our people who are watching and listening to this, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background prior to getting into?
Absolutely, and good talking to you again, Dr. Tony. My name is Ted Hair. My background's quite varied. I have experience from transportation to nonprofit, running hotels, and owning 3 businesses. So quite varied and quite extensive.
That must help you a lot in your coaching business.
It does. It helps a lot in understanding that the systems that we teach and the process that we have really can speak to any business, not just a particular industry.
Right. Now, how many years have you actually been in business coaching?
I've been with ActionCOACH and business coaching for right at 3 years this month, actually.
Excellent. Well, happy anniversary. What actually brought you to ActionCOACH?
I had wanted to get into something similar. I had looked to do some speaking a while back, and the gentleman said that wait till your kids get out of school because it's just too much traveling. So as they were getting older, I started looking, and most of it still included traveling some of the places. And in ActionCOACH I found, and I had no idea that there was this product or service where you could stay where you are and deliver this level of service to local business owners. So it just seemed like a natural fit.
Excellent. What do you think makes ActionCOACH so successful, particularly for you?
It's the systems. I looked at a lot of different competitors, if you will, and they're a lot, and they're like a mile wide and an inch deep. So it was good to find something that had the depth of information as well as the systems to walk you through the process. So for me, it was the systems.
Give me an idea of 2 or 3 of the systems that you think are so effective.
Perfect. Well, one of them is in prospecting and getting new clients. It's called the 13-step 7-touch system, and it tells you literally step by step with scripting how to go through the process from initial contact to a prospect all the way through the diag and signing them up as a client. You don't have to guess. It's there. That's one of them. Another one would be, here's a great one, and it's for every company, is walking them through their mission, vision, and culture. They don't have a central thing. They don't know where they're going. And, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Having, I think it's like 8 pages questionnaire to walk a company through the mission, vision, and culture so that they can identify who they are, where they're going, and how they're going to get there. Those are 2 examples.
And I think that's really good. Your job as a coach, knowing where the person is and knowing where they would like to be. And sometimes you have to guide them to where they should be or could be. The difference between where they are and where they could or should be is where your coaching comes into play. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, they don't know what they don't know. They think things are good. Chaos is just normal. That's how every business works. And we're average chaos, so we must be good. And to help them understand, that should be an anomaly and not the everyday occurrence.
By the way, that prospecting, 13-step prospecting, would you email a copy of that to me? I'd love to see it. It's very intriguing. Yeah, I've never seen it, but that's the kind of system that I think is so effective, where instead of just throwing somebody out there and saying, hey, go sell or go coach, they're giving you a real step-by-step process. So it limits the amount of failure out there in the marketplace. You go to a lot of meetings. I've seen you at ActionCOACH meetings before. We've chatted, had some great sessions. But you have an opportunity to constantly rub shoulders with other successful action coaches. What do you feel are the key traits that determine a really good coach?
Well, I think the aforementioned systems is one of them. Don't try to be smarter than the system. Let the system do the work for you. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's there. Follow the system. We know that with the coaches that are doing it now, have done it before, the systems work. You don't need to modify it. You don't need to change it. You don't need to skip it. Just follow the system. So those that I have seen that are most successful are those that are following the system. And that truly is the key. It's there for a reason. You follow the system, it's proven successful, you stay on track. When you don't, you start getting in the weeds on things, and then your clients want to throw in the towel.
Do you see any personal traits that you think stand out in great coaches?
It's just that whatever it takes mentality. Coaching is well, for me, it's fairly easy that talking with the clients, digging the information, asking the right questions, getting them to come to the conclusions. But for many, it's that point of not going long enough till you get there. Just giving up too early, whether it's giving up too early on a client, giving up too early on the business, giving up too early on the results with the clients. It's got to be that whatever it takes mentality.
Okay. Now, with your varied background, sorry about that phone. With your varied background, do you particularly focus on certain types of clients?
I don't. It's kind of interesting. My most extensive background was in hotels. I was a general manager of some very large, very successful hotels, and I thought that might be one of the things that I might migrate towards. However, I haven't had a hotelier yet as a client, and I think that's good. So I will help them coach instead of trying to run their business. But for me, because the dynamics are the same in any business, that there are no particular type of clients. I just want fun clients.
Now, what does that mean, fun clients?
There's people out there who they're just too serious, and the team gets it. And part of it is the working environment they're in. They're under a lot of pressures and a lot of stress. But those who can understand the critical nature of them being able to have fun, and then being able to teach their teams to have fun while they're working, makes everything more fun.
Now, give me an example of how somebody would, teach their team to have more fun in terms of what they're doing.
That's a great question. It's funny because for some, it's just spontaneous. It just happens. I'll give you an example from hotel days. For April, we pulled the bookcases out. It was nothing but a cubicle. And that was fun for the team. The team loved them.
Ted, we had a little internet glitch. So go back to the beginning of your example, the hotel example.
Well, we were in a hotel, and our executive chef was off that day. So the day up before April's 1st, it was March 31st. So we went in and we emptied his office of everything in it. The desk, the phones, the pictures on the wall, and then we lined his windows with butcher paper. So he came in and there's nothing in it. And it was a blast, but I didn't do it. Our team did it. And they just thought it was the greatest thing in the world. It's just those types of things to just have, sometimes it's spontaneous, sometimes to just be a little silly.
Right. When you start up with a new client, what are some of the strategies or steps that you follow? Literally, you have a system, you follow the system. What is that system in a startup with a new client?
Well, the system, again, these first 6 coaching lessons are fairly scripted. And you just follow that scripting of those first 6 ones. So the very first one is you're going through a PowerPoint presentation with them to basically say, this is what it's going to look like. This is how we are going to coach. This is what you expect from me. This is what I expect from you. It has a slide in there called perturbation. And I love that slide because they're all going to go through this stressful period of coaching where they're going to be torn between things I have to do and things that you want me to do. But that perturbation, that slide is very helpful of positioning them. Say, hey, you're going to go through this. This is going to happen. I'm only showing you this now, so when it does, you will realize what's going on. And I'll get a commitment from them. So when this happens, what are you going to do? I'm going to push through it. Oh, perfect. So when it happens, and invariably it happens with every client, they'll say, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you told me about that, instead of it throwing them for a loop.
So that's the first step. What would be the next? There's 6 scripted meetings that you have, right?
Well, they're not scripted beginning to end in that it just says you're covering this topic, this topic, this topic, and this topic. But keep in mind, the coaching session itself is scripted. You've got a sheet that says the first 5 minutes you do this, the next 10 minutes you do this, the third 15 minutes you do this. So like I said, the system is so robust that unless you decide you're going to be smarter than the system, it's kind of hard to screw up.
And the system, with all of your clients, you found that the system does in fact work.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, do you do any stand-up training?
I'm not sure what you meant by stand-up training.
Well, where you're in front of a group of people presenting, that's what I mean, stand-up, as opposed to, just a round table.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. I do it for clients. I've done it for chamber groups. I've done it for various groups of training. I've done it for clients' staff. So yes, sir, we do stand-up training for clients. A lot of times it's sales focused and we have done I have 1 or 2 clients where we've done extensive DISC training. We've gone through the DISC for sales and help them understand how to deal with each one of the behavioral types from a selling standpoint to get the greatest number of sales.
Now, you mentioned that you have done things for chambers. Are those really prospecting presentations?
Yes, they are. However, my tact has been what can I do to help the chamber? And sometimes I'm filling holes that aren't necessarily natural leaders into what I do. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, they felt that their holiday parties were great opportunities for networking, but seldom did it happen. So they asked me if I would do something on networking. So I did they call it Wisdom on Wednesdays. I did a Wisdom on Wednesdays just on networking. I called it Networking for Knuckleheads. And they loved it. Was it geared toward getting me clients? No. But anytime I can have the exposure at the chamber and they bring business people in, something good's going to come out of it. Right.
Now, you mentioned that you talk about DISC, and I know you use the ActionCOACH online assessment system. How do you use assessments with your clients?
Oh, excellent question. Well, every one of my clients coming on has to take a DISC for self. And then I show them, I used to do it later on in the coaching where I really start diving in with it, but I come out of the gate second or third session. And my last client I just started yesterday was the very first session because there were some personnel dynamics that they wanted to address. So this was a fantastic time to do it. So what I do is show them sometimes how the things that they're telling me are illustrated in their behavioral patterns that DISC shows. So the one yesterday was high SC. And she didn't understand why she just hired all these people that were just, what do they call it? The most, she gave me a word like the most scalawag group of successful people they've ever met or something like that. And when we went over the traits of the high S and how, let's hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and the rescuer and the person who just wants to, can't we all just get along? That's where that observable trait is manifesting itself. And her eyes like, oh, okay, so there's not something wrong with me. And then we use it when there's more of a team and we get a team, we do the DISC matrix, the communication matrix.
Yep.
And I will create an actual matrix and have all of their names across the left. And then it says, how don't you talk to them? How do you talk to them? And I will go over that in a training session with a larger group and help them understand how to communicate better with each other and why the other might be responding the way they are when it's outside of their character or behavioral trait.
Just to clarify for our viewers, the DISC model, which is DISC, stands for 4 behavioral patterns. The D is dominance, the I is influence, the S is steadiness, and the C is conscientiousness. So it's a great model to do team building, communication skills. You use it in terms of how to adjust your selling style to fit the buying style. So great for leaders in terms of how to deal with employees and get the most productivity out of them. So other than DISC, do you use any other types of assessments?
I do. I use the DISC and motivators. I use the executive summary, which has the DISC, motivators, and the Hartman's value profile sort of all combined together. I use Shirzad Shamin's positive intelligence. He does the saboteurs assessment, and he does the positive intelligence thinking assessment. Those are both free as well. Those are ones that I use. They're very ubiquitous in my practice because it's really helpful for them to, number one, understand the team dynamic, and number two, understanding why those voices, if you understand what I'm saying, are back there telling him that they don't deserve anything better. They'll never get any better. That that little guy that they just need to knock off their shoulder.
Well, again, for our viewers, we define DISC. The motivators basically measure the why people do what they do. The Hartman profiles the quality of somebody's judgment or decision making. And when you put them all together, there's where you get that executive summary. Now, do you use the executive summary for coaching, or do you use it for employee selection?
Use it for employee selection for the clients when they are hiring a higher level employee. And I don't mean to disrespect anything, but if it's a management type position or a leadership type position, we encourage them to take the executive summary. For the biggest piece is the critical thinking component that it gives you. A lot of these leadership responsibilities involve a large component of critical thinking to be able to see what else is out there, what else can I do, is this the only solution? And being able to think critically and move down that path is important. So that's where we use it a lot with our clients.
Perfect. Well, listen, we're almost out of time. I'd like to ask you, either for yourself or some of your colleagues, fellow coaches in Action Coach, what would you say would be the biggest reasons a client stops doing business with a coach?
I truly think it's only one, and I think they stop seeing the value, or there's no value. As long as there's value, as long as they are seeing the value, and it could be a dollar exchange. It could be the dollar exchange of the money I'm spending for the value I'm getting in return, but it's a loss or a disruption of value in their perspective.
Well, that's a significant point. It's pretty well known in sales and in business that if a person sees the price as more than the value that they're getting, they're not going to do anything. If they see the value more than the price, the odds are that they're going to buy or stay with somebody. So how would a coach make sure that they keep that value very clearly in the eyes and mind of their clients?
Something I learned from Doug Winnie, he taught me about what's called the green sheet. And this assigns a dollar value to strategies that we've implemented that are impacting their business. So we can see that dollar value in whether it's being able to realign their advertising budget where they are actually getting more leads with less money because we're focusing on the better ones and getting rid of the lesser ones. And it could be any number of strategies, and those get reported on a green sheet. And it's a little green sheet of paper that we have with the clients that they will write the strategy down and the dollar amount so that reinforces in their mind the dollars associated with the value that they're getting. Another way is, and I do this often, I would like to say every time, but I don't, but I do this often with my clients. At the end, when we're done, I ask them to tell me how much value. Did you get a lot of value out of today, a little value? What value did you see out of today's session? And I use that to sort of gauge where they are, especially when you're talking about things that aren't directly dealing with the dollars.
Excellent. Well, listen, Ted, you gave us a lot of good ideas. I have to tell you that I'm doing probably somewhere between 35 and 40 of these interviews. And I thought I knew a lot about coaching and action coach and, what works, what doesn't work. But I'm finding out how ignorant I really am and picking up some good points. Just like, that 13-phase prospecting. I love the concept there. So I want to thank you for the time that you have given us, and I look forward to seeing you at an upcoming Action Coach meeting.
Dr. Tony, the pleasure's all mine. It's always fantastic talking to you. Thank you for all of the tools that you have provided for us, and I look forward to seeing you as well.
Thank you.
Have a great day, too.
You too.